Good morning, gang. Happy Tuesday morning. Okay, just a reminder, guys, there's no live stream tonight. It's this day. Okay, uh, I'll be the first to admit it. I don't have all the answers. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. Okay, and guilty, right? I'm human, right? I can't walk across water. If you've been paying attention to the investment world lately, which is a prep. I'm sorry, you have to. You want to save for your retirement. Savings account's not going to cut it. Okay, and some of us are already there. Some of us are close. Some of us are a long way off. But what do? If you've looked at what the stock market has done in, say, the last 2 weeks, I think we've had one down day in the last 2 weeks in the S&P. We've rocketed like crazy since a couple of days after Liberation Day. So for a month and a half, the market has significantly come back, okay, to the point where it's now positive this year. So all those dreading looking at 401k statements or IRA statements or anything for the first 4 months of the year, all of a sudden ain't so painful anymore. Okay? And if you've been sticking to your 401k plan, dollar cost averaging, making your contribution out of every paycheck, you've probably done okay. If you've bought gold and silver this year, you're doing okay. Gold and silver are up 25-ish%. Okay. Yeah, it's treaded water here for last month and a half, in that low 3,000s range, which is kind of what I figured was going to happen. You're still okay. Remember historically, the market returns about 7 to 8% a year. So when you're looking at this going, gee, I've only made 25% a year. Yeah, you're doing okay, all right? Even if you're buying index funds, the S&P 500 or whatever, you're above water at this point from the end of the year. And if you were DCAing your way in, you're making money. Where I say I was wrong is Bitcoin, and I will completely admit that. Bitcoin has gone mainstream. There is no question about it at this point. I mean, we talked about it a couple of years ago. I'm more conservative in my investments. Like everybody else, I like to make money. I hate to lose it. Okay? I hate to waste money, anything. And about 6 months ago, I dipped my toe into the Bitcoin world. I'm glad I did. I'm up a little bit in my Bitcoin, which is good. Nothing significant. But the question then comes in, is this a legitimate prep? And I know I've given you all the reasons why I was against it. If the power goes out, you can't access your Bitcoin. Agreed. That will never change. Power's got to go out all around the world. I'll say that. But, you always hear the stories, well, there would be power somewhere. If the power's on in Switzerland, you can access your Bitcoin. Yeah, I got to get to Switzerland. And without power, that might be a little difficult. Okay. But one of the things we have to prep for is if nothing happens. Okay? If we don't have a Teowaki situation, if we don't have a full-blown nuclear war, EMP, whatever, and we go through our golden years, as rough as it is right now, still the same. There are still grocery stores, there are still hardware stores and drugstores. Okay. And then the struggle that we have is keeping up financially, which is difficult for a lot of people in retirement because all of a sudden you've retired, you don't have that income anymore, so you're living off of Social Security or your savings or whatever, And the biggest fear people have in retirement, including me, okay, is running out of money, outliving your savings. It's funny because I look at my returns on what Mrs. P and I have saved. Okay. I'm up since buying it, gold and silver, about 100%. I've about doubled my money on it, pretty close. That's good. Okay. I look at my equity investments, and I've told you what I own. It's very boring dividend paying stocks. Okay. I mean, Philip Morris, Dow, Pfizer, and Ford. Okay. I look at what I own in Bitcoin. Okay. And trust me, we ain't rich. Okay. I'll give you this. We got a little bit. Because I buy the dips, it's like, oh, okay, we got a little bit of money. Let's go buy. And I look around and pay attention to what's a good price. What seems to be on sale at the moment. My Bitcoin is up about 16.6%. It's good. I've owned it for 6 months. It's a good return. Okay. My Ford that I've owned for 6 months, boring old Ford, oh, everybody hates Ford, is up 13.6%. Not counting the dividends. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say that Ford is going to go to the moon like everybody says Bitcoin is. It's not nearly as volatile, okay? But it's doing what I want it to do. And my target is to make that 8% a year. Good. I'm okay. If I can keep saving and saving until I'm eligible to collect Social Security, the money I have saved hopefully will generate me enough income plus my Social Security to basically pay our bills and allow us to maintain our lifestyle. Okay. Not looking at getting rich. But then that brings in the question, and you've probably seen a lot of this in your feeds lately, because God knows I have, all right? It seems like every other recommended video to me is Bitcoin going to the moon. Bitcoin going to 500,000 by the end of the year. Bitcoin going to 500,000 by the end of Trump's presidency. Bitcoin going to 1 million by the end of Trump's presidency. Bitcoin going to 13 million in 10 years. Okay. If Bitcoin goes to 500,000, that's a 5-fold return. Go to 1 million, it's 10-fold. Go to 13 million, or I'm sorry, go to 1 million, it's 10-fold. Go to 13 million, that's 130 times your money. Okay. Yeah. Would it be nice to see? Sure. Okay. Am I counting on it? No. And this is where I've talked many times about diversification and having bits of money in different places. Sure, there's a ton of people, put all your money in Bitcoin, right? You know them. Okay. And when it's going up, they're, look at me, how great I am. When it goes down, not so much. I mean, we remember a couple of years ago going from 66 to 16. Crickets. Even this year, in December, we were 109. In, early April, we were at 79. Yeah, that's a 30% loss. People aren't crowing from the rooftops going, look at me, when it's going down. I did a bunch of analysis on my own. It's got to be technical analysis because there are no fundamentals to Bitcoin, okay? It doesn't have earnings. It doesn't have customers. It's not selling a product. So the only thing it trades on is momentum. Okay. And things you have to look at when you own Bitcoin. All right. The dollar index. As the dollar gets weaker, which it has been, the dollar this morning is right about 100. Okay, I'll give you that as an idea. So meaning we're trading on par with the rest of the basket of currencies, the euro, the yen, yada yada yada. You've got to look at M2 money supply, and it'll give you an idea of which way money supply is working, and Bitcoin will pretty much move the opposite. That's going good. There's a whole bunch of other stuff I could talk to you guys about I don't know, Fibonacci or Bollinger Bands, or I've talked supply and or support and resistance in the past. I'm not even going to try to explain that to you. Okay, that takes a while to learn. But I look at it by my analysis, and I could see Bitcoin at 180 by the end of the year. That's an 80% return from here, roughly. That's huge. But then I look at other stuff and I go, could I get an 80% return out of Ford, my second best performer? Ford's trading at 1075. Yeah, that puts it, what, about 19? I wouldn't say it's probable, but it's possible, certainly. Okay, it's not crazy. It's like, this is the problem. Everybody looks at those huge numbers of Bitcoin. Oh my God, it's trading at $105,000. If it goes to 110, I'm going to make $5,000, and it does that in a day. No, you're not. Okay. I'll give you this. Less than 4% of the people in the world own any Bitcoin. Less than 1% own one Bitcoin. There are less than, well, now, can't say less, it's probably right about 1 million entities, whether that's people, whether that's corporations, whether that's government. About 1 million entities in the world that own one Bitcoin. Individuals own fractional Bitcoin, a couple of $1,000 worth or something like that, and hopefully it goes somewhere. It's something else to consider adding to your savings. If it goes to 13 million and you own 1/10 of a Bitcoin, all right, right now it's about 10 grand, okay? Even if you own 1/100th of a Bitcoin and it goes to 13 million, you all of a sudden put together a nice little nest egg that'll save your butt, okay? Or maybe it's a legacy to start your kids on, or your grandkids, that maybe they'll have something to use for a down payment for a house when they're old enough, or whatever. We're all gonna retire. We're all gonna die, okay? One day, one way or the other. Death and taxes, right? Bitcoin has become mainstream. I think it's got to the point now where it is actually considered a legitimate asset. When companies are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet because they can make more money potentially in Bitcoin than they can selling widgets, okay, it takes the stress off of them. When governments are looking at buying Bitcoin, or have been, like El Salvador has made it legal currency, it's time to take it seriously. The Senate just passed the Genius Bill, one of the crypto bills. How long is it till we have a strategic Bitcoin reserve? It's been talked about quite a bit. Remember this, guys. When it comes to Bitcoin, there's only 21 million of them. There's probably a couple of million that were lost. Y'all know the story about the guy, I think it was in England, who threw out the hard drive with his key to his Bitcoin on there, and it's in a dump somewhere. Okay, there's some of that. So I don't know, say that's 10% of what's out there. Maybe there's only 19 million Bitcoin left. There will never be any more. Okay, it's fixed end. We run out of gold, we go mine more. The government runs out of money, they just print more. Okay, but you have a potential asset here, or an asset, not even potential, that has limited supply and currently strong demand. Will it change the future? Yes. Will it be the future? Nobody knows. There could be something else that comes out next year. But the only thing I'm saying, and this is where I admit I was wrong, maybe it is worth putting a little bit there. Like I said to you guys months ago, I did dip my toe in the water. I have a little bit. Just because it's not FOMO or something. It's if it is the future and 4% of the population owns it, which means 96% doesn't. If we wind up becoming a feudalistic society, which these globalists want so badly, well, if 4% of the population has all the money, they're the lords, and the 96% is the peasants. And I have no desire to be a peasant.